These little-known works of literature will also reflect the early 19th century, a time when any experiment might well bear fruit, and any dream might become a reality. The 19th century is a time of revolution, and urgent strives for a better world. The established order seems to be turning upside down. And Mary Shelley's literary work reflects her own state of mind after her husband's death. This state of mind is solitary sadness. But she will never write another work of comparable power to her novel, Frankenstein. She does some amazing stuff, but she never comes up with anything as brilliant as Frankenstein. Now, let's get to Valperga. This is 1823, a romantic novel, a romantic Gothic novel set in medieval Italy that continues with some of the currents of thought that are found in Frankenstein. For example, the vanity of worldly ambition and the desire for almost godlike power and the importance of human affection in our lives. The Gothic romance does not sell well, and Mary Shelley sees very little money from the novel. Now, in widowhood, Mary earns money for herself and her only surviving child, little Percy, by writing biographical articles for encyclopedias, and she writes short fiction for illustrated anthologies. These anthologies are known as annuals, and these annuals are marketed as gift items. Her short fiction also contains echoes of Frankenstein. Transformations, the story Transformations, in which the hero exchanges bodies with a dwarf. You have the story Roger Dodsworth, subtitled The Reanimated Englishman. This is set, in a future world, and a 17th century man enters that future world after being cryogenically frozen in an avalanche. You have Ferdinand Eboli. This story uses the theme of the doppelganger. You have The Mortal, Immortal, in which an apprentice to an alchemist drinks the elixir of life by mistake and will now live forever. You have the story Valerius, the reanimated Roman, in which an ancient Latin finds nothing but disappointment with the modern world. Both The Mortal, Immortal and Valerius, both of these short works of fiction, use an ironic tone and continue science fiction elements that are infused both with the Gothic and historical. Mary Shelley does manage to write yet another groundbreaking, if lesser known, science fiction masterpiece of a novel called The Last Man. This is in 1826. Now, The Last Man is set in the future and depicts a society in the 21st century that is beset by political unrest. In the novel, England is described as a socialist republic, and the world is ravaged by a plague that gradually annihilates the population of the entire planet. The narrator, a gentleman known as Lionel Verney, begins his life as a shepherd, and after many wanderings through this dying world, finds himself the last survivor, the last man. Amidst the ruined grandeurs of Rome, we see the loneliness of the protagonist. He is alone in a dead world. And this recalls the Frankenstein monster's isolation. And this is also like the Frankenstein novel, in a way, an interesting variation on the noble savage concept. The Last Man is, in a way, a sentimental romance, but it's also a post-apocalyptic, post-Holocaust science fiction tale, as the plague, which begins in Constantinople, wipes out the entire human race. Only one man survives, Mr. Lionel Verne, who is last seen in the novel drifting south in a boat, just as alone as the creature in the Frankenstein novel. Now, her final novel, Lador, which is around 1835 or so, also uses the noble savage motif, as the heroine Ethel is taken as a child by her father to live in the wilds of America, the wilds of Illinois, to be precise. Ethel is brought up among the grandest objects of nature, the forests of North America. Then she returns to a life in London, a life which she feels alone and isolated, even among the romance of London town. The success of these literary works by Mary Shelley are due to the undercurrents that are not fully realized by her on a conscious level. Mary's strong intellectual stimulus and intense personal experiences combine to create works of literature filled with striking originality and complexity. Now, in 1997, a lost children's story written by Mary Shelley called Maurice, which is about a kidnapped boy who has a chance meeting with his father, is found in a trunk. This is written around 1820 or so, and it's rediscovered and published basically to 150 odd 70 years after it was written. Mary would also help to keep her dead husband, Percy Shelley's literary legacy, alive and well by editing Shelley's poems in 1830. And she also edits his essays and letters in 1840. Mary Shelley would die at the age of 53 on February 1st, 1851. She dies from a brain tumor after living nearly 30 years of solitary widowhood, but not before changing the form of Gothic literature in both style and content. Mary Shelley's work would abandon some of the more picturesque or antiquarian trappings of the Gothic literary genre, and reduce some of the high melodrama and florid complications of the Gothic. And she would also introduce rationality and scientific elements, becoming the mother, the mama of modern horror and science fiction literature in the process. She would create a type of popular myth that has passed into our culture. All right. With that thought, we're going to end the show.